So if I say I'm driving 80 miles per hour, that means I'm going to go 80 miles in an hour.
No, you are not, because you are driving faster than a mile a minute.
Okay, by now, many of you have probably seen that funny viral video. It captures two Utah newlyweds on a road trip, and Chelsea here was trying to answer a tricky math question and calculate time versus speed. Her husband pulled out the cell phone camera and was rolling as she tried to sort it out. Kind of entertaining for the rest of us to watch.
It was a fun joke when we were all in on the teasing, but you had to wince a little bit if you were watching that. So the question is it okay to tease your spouse or your kids? Is it humorous? Or is it hurtful? Studio 5 relationship coach Matt Townsend is known for being a funny guy. So what do you think? Is it okay to tease your family?
Tease them till they cry like babies. No, you know, it's interesting because when does the tease cross into just abuse, right? Emotional, sucking the life out of me kind of thing. This guy had no clue what he was walking into. Did you notice that?
Right.
And the more you watch the video, you're like, oh, dude, you're dead. You are so dead. So what would you say? When does it cross?
Don't be asking me. I have a hard time with that. My wife wanted to show up for this.
Yeah, really, you're asking him?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, don't ask Darren.
Like, I would say when it hurts the other person's feelings.
Yeah, but when would you know that?
If they cry, that's a sign.
That's a sign of the times,
but
right?
the problem is that you probably crossed, if they get to the crying, you've crossed the line somewhere before that. Yeah.
See, that's the problem with comedy. Unless you're like a comedian, your timing's going to be off. These guys work it all day long. Part of it is we've got to focus on a few things. So we're going to give you 3 keys to focus on.
Okay.
And part of it, I think, with being funny and with your family and stuff, it's not, honestly, my family doesn't think I'm funny, quite honestly. They think I'm a boring and just get out of my way dad. But when we get into this, I want you to start noticing the relationship side of this, because the relationship is what makes you able to say certain things. And I think humor is healing. It's healthy. It increases your immunity in almost every category. It's more unifying when it's done well. In almost every category, it's better for you. But when you blow it, very divisive, okay? So the first rule, focus on the long-term relationships, not just the short-term reaction. Now, remember the whole deal. This guy went, embarrassed his wife, caught her on the speed limit thing. Are we going to show the whole first video?
Yeah, so we'll show some of that.
So just show some of that as we're going, because as what happened is she just had a simple question. A simple little question, and he humiliated her.
Okay, let's listen in.
Take me to go 80 miles if I'm traveling 80 miles per hour.
You are driving faster than a minute a mile.
Yeah, totally.
So I would whack 80 in half, and that's 40.
See what that is? So it's not the question that was offensive. He was laughing at her as he was doing it, which honestly in the moment wouldn't have been a big deal either.
Right.
Then he posted it on YouTube.
And 1 million hits later.
And 1 million hits later, he's not getting any loving. Let's just be honest. But see, part of this is he didn't know what he was stepping into. He knew it was funny, and he'd look at the camera and roll his eyes. By the way, there's a background to all of this. They went then on a Good Morning show. Good Morning, I know it was one of the Good Morning shows. I don't know how you call it. Good Morning. One of the morning shows, and he had to apologize. Because everyone on the show knew you'd offended her. Did this offend you? And she went out and started talking about how it did offend and how it did hurt her. And they had just been married and they just had finals. And here he is, and they're picking her brain like, did this offend you? Did this hurt your feelings? And he had to turn to her and apologize. So here's the interesting thing. He was more into her reaction in the moment than the relationship long term. When we use our humor, we want it to strengthen I call it the essence of the other person. I always want to honor your essence, okay? We can joke about whatever, but I want to honor your being, who you are deep inside. And he probably crossed the line there.
You think so? Just a tad. But
yeah, well, I think then on YouTube, apparently without her knowing it, apparently.
Would it have been that bad, though, had it not hit YouTube? Had a million people not got in and laughed on it? It would just been the two of them, and he shows some video to people, and when they get there.
And it would have laughed. But see, then if you kept beating it down for the rest of her life, it probably would have been.
Okay, but see, there's a point. Even if you don't post it to the larger YouTube audience, you know, in general, sometimes that joke can be taken public in, like, circle of friends, too.
Like,
and then it also,
the minute you get home. He was excited to get home and show her family the video.
Right.
Because then they could all laugh at it. So there's a point where, and honestly, maybe because they're so young, he didn't know that was inappropriate. Because sometimes you don't know what your wife will hate until 20 years later, and she said it 15 times. So part of it is the setup, okay? we got to focus on relationships over reaction. Okay, now this next one's really interesting. A lot of us think to be funny, you just have to plan a joke. So if you go to YouTube, most of the like funny things on YouTube are people setting cameras up and scaring their wife by jumping out of the dryer and all these weird setup things, okay? Watch this clip. This is honestly my favorite video of the week.
Oh, good.
It is so funny because this is just a cute little boy skiing. Can a boy not ski with his family? And as he's skiing with his family, this little boy has fallen asleep.
Oh, darn it.
So sometimes the funniest moments are in the moment. They're not planned. Look, he is literally asleep. And the dad's sitting here like, you guys, he's asleep, but no one else is paying attention. No, really, you guys, he's asleep. Now this little girl gets in on the scene and she starts talking to him and looking at him. The dude is completely nine-nine. Now watch the mom. Now the mom's going to get involved. And now the mom on the left is just barely involved. Now watch the poor boy. Now that the mom gets the joke, boom, the poor boy tips over. See, some of the funniest, and that was sad, because you actually heard his head clunk. But he had a helmet on, so it was safe. But what was funny about that, remember, the funniest moments are usually not created. They're in the moment. So if you're in the moment, the funnies will appear. No one can be mad at you for laughing at something in the moment that just happened.
Right.
But notice, if you watch the video, the mom wasn't even present. The mom was talking to her friend. Everyone was busy and engaged, and the dad was just capturing this video all by himself, trying to get everybody else in on the funny. So sometimes we don't need to conjure up a funny thing. Sometimes we don't need to try to force the funny. Sometimes we don't need to bring it up 500 times, even though this will always go down in history. What I like about humor with my kids is they all have their own funny moment. Everyone in our family has done something completely stupid, right? And those kind of go down in history. But what I like to do is everyone in my family has stupid moments. And we don't, so whenever we start bringing up ones, remember when you fell asleep? I had a sister that fell asleep on the toilet. Okay, you don't think we still talk about that, Jackie? Anyway, that was funny.
Sorry, Jackie, didn't mean to bring that up there.
So the very last rule is one that was more set up, and this is the one that's just pretty popular recently at Easter because of the BYU students. You hear about the BYU students? They play this prank on each other. One of the goals of all humor is that it should make us feel good. So these BYU guys, students, male students, took out the living room furniture of some of their friends, laid down some sod, put some trees and live animals in there, and then the cute little co-ed girls got home from, I think, church apparently on Easter Sunday, and what is going on? And they start freaking out. Now look how they responded. One by one, they let everyone fall into the joke. The poor guy's dressed up like the Easter Bunny, which is kind of creepy when you think about it.
It is a little creepy.
But look, then everyone gathered, and this is what makes a good moment fun. It's the talking about it, it's the connection around it, it's the everyone sharing it.
That's where it gets to humor is healthy, like you point out.
The butt of the joke is now participating in the sharing of the joke. The idea of humor, and I notice it when I speak, if I can be funny for a while, you can open up their hearts, and then once you open up your hearts, you can shoot in some powerful truth. So remember that good humor means good feelings for everybody. The way you know if it's worked is you check the success of the joke at the end of the joke. At the end of the week, at the end of the month. So at some point, that first guy that we were talking about, he knew it went wrong somewhere. Yeah. It may have taken him a month, but he had to have known.
At some point when he's on national TV and his wife's asking for an apology,
and he's having to have an apology.
There's a sign, right?
Humor should bring us together.
Good stuff, Matt.
Thank you.
You get a good humor, you have humor, of course. Date night coming up.
This Friday night. Date night, April 27th. We're going to help you and your partner create healthy, strong relationships. Go to datenightswithmatt.com. These are the best. They're filling, and you know what's great? We've got a bigger room so more and more people can come.
Okay.
Bring your friends, bring a gaggle of geese.
Because there were, pickets, people that couldn't get in last time. So.
And it started a fight, and then it's not fun.
And mostly they were geese who were upset.
They were geese,
so you can bring the geese this time.
Bring them.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.